please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Market gives up modest early gains to trade near the day's lows. Midcaps tumble in trade with the index down over 1% in trade, and Kartika Capital, however, remains bullish on high-quality midcaps like Page Industries despite high valuations.
Rupee hits a 19-month low as escalating trade war tension between the US and China dampens investor sentiment. IT stocks among top gainers on the Nifty today.
It's the oil marketing companies who take a hit in trade as Brent trades above the $76 per barrel mark, and crude gains on supply disruptions in Libya and Canada, and also after US officials ask oil buyers to cut Iranian crude imports by November.
LIC sees itself emerging as a major financial conglomerate post the IDBI buyout. The board sees significant synergies with IDBI, especially in the area of bancassurance. That's a CNBC TV18 exclusive.
Have to transform, reinvent, disrupt. That's the word coming in from the new NASSCOM chief. In a first interview as the NASSCOM president, Debjani Ghosh says that H-1B issue is more of an irritant and says that Indian companies last year took up only 12% out of total 65,000 H-1B visas. Hello and welcome. You've joined us on Business Lunch. I'm Nisha Podar and with me is Manglam Malu. Manglam, good afternoon. And look at the markets at this point, not looking good at all. In fact, have weakened in the last few minutes of trade even further. So it has been weakening at lunch hour. And look at Nifty 50, 10,700 level is almost there and is at the lowest point of the trading session. The deeper cut, however, is coming in from the mid-caps universe, and some of the counters which were still holding on in the green, like some of the IT counters, have also let go of some bit of gains in the last few minutes of trade. So overall, the market is weakened, and take a look at the market breadth as well, and that is looking extremely negative at this point, Mangla.
Absolutely. The mid-caps are getting beaten down as we speak. 6 stocks in the red for 1 in the green. Meanwhile, some other internals as well. Nearly 10 stocks at lower circuit for 1 at the upper circuit. Nearly 4 stocks at a 52-week low as compared to 1 at a 52-week high. Just watch out for the Nifty 10,700 mark. Very important because that has the maximum open interest in terms of puts 1 day ahead of expiry. So we need to watch out for whether this mark is defended or not. In the meanwhile, some news on your screen. Government official says that the cabinet has approved rising price of ethanol by about 3 rupees a litre. That should do a decent bit for perhaps some of the sugar companies, as well as Praj Industries. That one should come up for you. Praj Industries is the one that manufactures equipment for ethanol manufacturing, and that one sees a bit of a benefit as far as ethanol is concerned. There we saw a bit of a spike on Praj Industries, perhaps pull up something like a Balrampur Chini as well, which has moved from the low point of the day. However, mid-caps still under a phenomenal amount of pressure. So let's get in Nimesh for an update on what he's hearing from the dealing room. Nimesh, there's a lot of fear, right?
Oh yes, there is a lot of fear, and especially in the B group stocks, Manglam, clearly that's getting butchered, and there is clear panic now setting in among the retail and HNI category. I've been talking to a lot of investors. In fact, of late, I've been pointing out the fact that there is a tremendous amount of redemption pressures in the emerging market ETFs, which is impacting the Indian flows as well. So that's one part of the story, that the FIS flows continues to be negative simply because of redemption pressure across emerging market ETFs, and that's impacting Indian stocks. But what has happened today is a more pain in the B group stocks. That's where the larger pain is. It's not reflected in the index per se, but if you look at individual stocks, it's got a lot of the portfolios have got damaged and hurt today, given the fall that you've seen. Right now, what I understand is this first round of selling, what we've seen in the last few days, is essentially some bit of redemption pressures in the PMS side of the businesses. I still haven't heard mutual funds seeing redemption pressures, and because of which they are selling out. So that is something to watch out for. If there is a redemption pressure going forward into mutual funds, then probably we'll see further pain in the mid cap and small cap. But as things stand, I think there are 2 reasons for the fall. One, of course, the FIs are net sellers given the redemptions across Asia, and the fact that now there is a bit of panic among retail HNI category in the mid-cap and small-cap space.
All right, Nimesh, thanks so much for giving us that update from the dealing room. So there is panic setting in. Take a look at the IT stocks, though. Even though the entire market is looking weak, we cannot elude some of the green stocks in any particular sector, but some of the IT stocks are the ones which are really holding on. That's also to do with rupee weakness, and Indian rupee that has touched a 19-month low on strong dollar buying, and also importers covering on the back of the weakness that is seen in the equities and also strong crude prices. But the currency has stopped falling and plateaued post the morning fall, partly on account of dollar selling by state-owned banks, say the dealers. Lata Venkatesh is right here to put all that into perspective. Lata.
Well, there is a bit of an emerging market currency weakness, not a whole lot, 0.15 thereabouts. The rupee is a tad weaker because we have a double whammy. It's not just the little bit of strength in the dollar, it's also higher crude strength, which tends to impact us a little more than it impacts other Asian countries. But maybe there is a peculiar technical problem over here, say some people. The currency futures for the month of June wind up on Friday, and T-2 is delivery day. So that could also be a technical factor why you see more rupee weakness, and that happens till the RBI fixing. RBI gives the currency value for the day at around 11 a.m. And after that, the extent of selling has considerably weakened. So it could be just a future F&O-related factor which has exacerbated the rupee weakness, and that has played out now. So hopefully in the afternoon you should not see so much of rupee weakness. It's in line with other emerging market currencies, and maybe there has been a bit of dollar supply from the Reserve Bank as well.
Absolutely, Lata. Thanks a lot for putting that into perspective as far as our currency is concerned. Just keep an eye out on some lines coming in from the US State Department media. They are saying that US will ask India and China not to buy oil from Iran. This comes after yesterday US had asked the US companies to not buy oil from Iran. Not sure whether India will actually go ahead and not buy oil from Iran or not. This is something we will watch out for. But we're seeing a bit of a spike in Brent crude prices, not doing too well for us. The Dow futures down about 150 points as we speak. Europe not doing too badly, just about holding up in the green, mild red seen on the DAX. With that, we'll slip into a short break, come back. We talk about IDBI Bank. Sources say it will function as a subsidiary on the lines of LIC's housing finance pension. Right, the decline on the mid-cap index extending itself now. We're at the low point of the day, continuously hitting lows of the day. 6 stocks now in the red for 1 in the green. A couple of stocks that are losing. Shrey Infrastructure down about 7% rather. JP Associates has been weak already, down about 10%. Kaveri Seeds, United Breweries, Reliance Communications, you name it, all of them. In fact, the only ones in the green among the F&O space, we have a handful of them, no more than 10-12 stocks which are holding up in the green. So we will watch out for that. But let's move on to a CNBC TV18 exclusive, and this one is with regards to the IDBI Bank LIC story. The government sees significant benefits come by for LIC on the IDBI Bank deal. Sources tell us that IDBI Bank will function as a subsidiary on the lines of LIC's existing housing finance, pension and mutual fund arms. We have with us Sapna, who will take us through all these details. Sapna, good afternoon.
Hi. So basically, continuing with what has been coming out in the public domain as far as the LIC IDBI Bank deal is concerned, a very strong signal from various quarters that this is how the deal is going to function. Second, the points that have been raised currently, so to speak, basically, it has always been a board-approved vision of LIC that they would like to be a financial conglomerate, probably provide all kinds of financial services to their customers under one umbrella. So this continues to be the central theme, and hence this proposal for taking a strategic stake into IDBI Bank. The second, of course, clarity coming in that, this is something we had reiterated yesterday as well, the fact that it will function, IDBI Bank post-acquisition will function as a subsidiary of LIC, just probably on the lines of, the pension fund, mutual fund, LIC Housing Finance. The third, and this is critical, basically the kind of synergies that probably the insurance giant is looking at. As of now, it does not, really enjoy the bank assurance insurance network on a very large scale as is enjoyed by the other public sector banks. So probably that will also add into its portfolio. Apart from that, taking in to the strengths on project finance, stuff like that from IDBI Bank, network going up. They have 1.5 lakh agents, LIC. It's a very strong network. So trying to, bring that synergy in with the IDBI Bank acquisition. Of course, that will take some time, will happen down the line, but this is the overall game plan. It's a very, very clear signal coming in. Last but not the least, government quarters are also raising this issue that globally insurance companies, or rather even banks for that matter, have gone ahead with such kind of arrangements, such kind of formulas. So why India should be an exception? Even look at the other banks here, like, for example, ICICI Bank, Punjab National Bank. They have all these models already in place in India. So why not the insurance giant? We also understand very quickly that probably an early nod to this proposal is expected from one of the regulators. At least what we're getting to understand is probably this week itself.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Sapna. Just watch out for the markets. The Nifty briefly broke that 10,700 mark and led lower by L&T, which is at the low point of the day. We have Tata Motors extending its cut to about 12% for this week itself. We have Yes Bank as well, which is at the low point of the day. And TCS, IT stocks have been doing well, but now we're seeing some selling at the top for TCS as well. So just keep an eye out on that. The Nifty below that 10,700 mark. And it is important because remember, tomorrow is expiry and 10,700 is the mark which has the maximum open interest as far as puts are concerned. So we will watch out for that. The Nifty as of now below the 10,700 mark. But let's move on to another CNBC TV18 exclusive now. We learn from sources that the final bid submission date for Fortis has been extended by 2 days. Nisha, give us the details.
Oh yes, Manglam, and this is the fallout of the earnings being delayed. So overall, remember that the earnings came in late last night, which we have reported on, and in fact, one-time loss of over 800 crore rupees. That's like really a big amount. Because the results got delayed for Fortis Healthcare, they have to mandatorily give more than 48 hours before the process really starts. So the binding bids by the 4 interested parties are going to be submitted by Saturday, that is 30th of June at 9 a.m. So that's the deadline that we are hearing. So it's a fresh deadline, delayed by a few days because of the results coming in late. But a very important point to note here, as far as the bid process is concerned, is that the auditors of Fortis Healthcare have really not signed on the results, and they have really not given their approval. So in that case, the bidders may really ask for reps and warranties so that they are safeguarded from any eventuality that may come in future. So it's still in uncertain territories, but bid process really is going on at this point. Magna.
All right, Nisha, thanks a lot for that. But just keep an eye out on markets. Just watch out for the Midcap index. Now that one's extended its cuts to about 300 points. CG Power, fresh casualty as we speak. United Breweries is now down about 5%. So no takers for that beer as well in today's trading session. Adani Power down about 4%. And we have all these stocks which are lower as the Nifty is below that 10,700 mark. The Midcap index, of course, under pressure. But let's move on as GST nears its 365 days of implementation. We take stock with one of the top corporate voices and the biggest champions of the GST, Adi Godrej. He joins us, or he spoke with Priya to understand the impact of this mega reform and what it did for the company and their growth plans going forward.
I think GST has been very successful for our group. It has been, one is it has been well managed. Two, the desired effects, the expected effects of GST have come through. In many cases, even after introduction of GST in July, rates have been brought down, which has further helped. And despite the lower rates, collections are increasing. So all in all, to my mind, GST is a great success. And we think economically for our group also, it is doing very well.
You know, over the last year, there have been significant changes in the rules and the rates, like you mentioned. There have been revisions that have taken place. And as compared to peer countries, our GST regime is a little bit more complicated than them. So do you think that's a sort of concern at this point?
Yes, because to a certain extent, yes. But India is a complicated country. It's a large country. Income levels are very different in different parts of the population. So this is to be expected. We can't have as simple a thing as in a small European country. So and I think the government has handled it very well. The GST Council sits quite often and takes decisions quite fast. So overall, I think it has been well handled by the government.
There has been some talk of, they're rejigging in the 28% rate where we could see some more goods moving out of the 28% slab. What's your view on the same?
Yeah, unless it are sin goods or very high luxury goods, I think things should move out of the 28% rate. 28% is too high a tax for a consumer to pay.
For you as a group, any specific products that you would like to be moved out of the 28% slab? Because even appliances are under the 28% slab.
Yeah. So yes, there are, in our group there are some products. Already there was a change made in November in the case of some of our products. And in some of our products from the 1st of July itself the rates were reduced compared to earlier.
In terms of overall growth rates as far as FY19 is concerned, will it be better than FY18? The initial months of FY18 did see some transitions to GST. FY17 we saw some impacts of demonetization. So looking forward, what is the kind of growth rates that
I think FY19 will certainly be, to my mind, a higher GDP growth rate than the preceding 2 years.
And for the Godrej Group, how will growth pan out?
I think we expect good growth this year. We are bullish on growth this year.
All right, Adi Godrej bullish on growth this year. Now, in a new twist in Aircel Max's case, well, the Supreme Court is likely to pass order on investigation against the Enforcement Directorate officer Rajeshwar Singh. Let's get in Ashmit Kumar, who's been joining us from the phone line and has been tracking all the developments in the courtroom, gets us all the latest. Tell us, Ashmit.
Just for the benefit of our viewers, Rajeshwar is the leading investigator as far as the ED is concerned. He's the one taking the charge as far as the Aircel Max's case is concerned. And mind you, the focal point right now of the investigation is the alleged involvement of the former Finance Minister, P. Chidambaram. Now, the key point here is that a PIL was filed before the Apex Court just a few days back, which raised the question of disproportionate assets in the hands of this ED officer. The allegations raised essentially are to the effect that he has been given protection by the Apex Court, that no action can be taken against him, given the fact that he is handling a sensitive matter, that he cannot be coerced, he cannot be bullied into perhaps a certain line of investigation. And that is the protection that comes from a 2011 order of the Apex Court. The allegation essentially is that the protection that was given to the officer under the 2011 order has been misused, that he's taken recourse to various other actions other than the ones that he had been directed to by the Apex Court. As of right now, this was the petition that has been raised. The Apex Court for right now has gone back, is considering the allegations raised. It even observed that the questions raised are very serious in nature. The government on its part has submitted a secret report. The order, we understand, is expected in just a few minutes from now. 2 p.m. is when the Apex Court is likely to give its order.
All right, Ashmit, thanks a lot for that. We will watch out for 2 p.m., the mark that you are talking about. But let's move on. Embattled liquor baron Vijay Mallya, he's released a letter that he had written to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well as Finance Minister Arun Jaitley in April 2016. Meanwhile, CNBC TV18 itself had sent a detailed questionnaire to Vijay Mallya last night, to which he responded, and I quote, "I have made my statement because UBHL and myself have filed an application before the Honorable Karnataka High Court on June 22, 2018, setting out available assets of approximately 13,900 crores. We have requested the court's permission to allow us to sell these assets under judicial supervision and repay creditors, including the public sector banks, such amounts as may be directed and determined by the court."
And he goes on to say that if the criminal agencies such as ED or CBI object to my proposal and object to the sale of assets, it will clearly demonstrate that there is an agenda against me. Now, the poster boy beyond recovery of dues to public sector banks. And I respectfully say that I have made and continue to make every effort in good faith to settle with public sector banks. If politically motivated extraneous factors interfere, there is nothing what I can do.
Okay, with that, let's take a short break. Come back, we talk about the US Trade Representative who has published a fresh statement on retaliatory duties. More details on that up next on Business Lunch.
All right, market you know, weakness really continues at lunch hour and is making new lows for the day. Some of the counters which have really cracked and are really falling are the counters like JSW Energy, Mindtree in an otherwise stronger market because of rupee depreciation in the IT sector, and some of those counters like JP Associates and RCom, which are debt-laden companies, have spurred a lot. They are seeing huge amount of cracks in the trades today. Let's move on to some international news developments then. And a US trade representative has really published a fresh statement on retaliatory duties. And while EU and China have been named directly, the statement makes direct reference to India, Russia and Japan. Let's get in Rituparna Bhuyan to understand in greater detail how it's going to impact us. Tell us, Ritu.
Robert Lighthizer statement does two things. Firstly, it defends the tariffs imposed by US on metals, saying that these are tariffs which are compliant to WTO. Secondly, it says that retaliatory tariffs imposed by EU, China and others are not compliant to WTO. The others, if you look at the fine print of the statement, include countries like Japan, Russia and India. India will be activating its retaliatory tariffs from August 4th August. Meanwhile, there is a meeting of senior Trade Department officials going on here in Delhi. Officials from the Trump administration and the Commerce Ministry here in India are trying to discuss trade-related issues, including retaliatory tariffs and the tariffs imposed by United States. And all eyes are on that meeting and what outcome this meeting would have. With that, it's back to you.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Rituparna. But with that, we wrap on Business Lunch with the news that the market's extending its cut. And as we do that, Midcap Radar will take the market action forward. Keep it with CNBC TV18.